Good morning, government contractors. Thank you for jumping on today. As we've done in the past, today we will definitely be covering some live RFPs on FBO. I will show you how I search and kind of find and vet those opportunities. As well as today, by request, we will be doing a bit of a capability statement review. That's definitely one of the topics that I wanted to get into. It's definitely something that is very important. And I did have a request from two different people to jump into doing that. So that is definitely something that we will be covering today. I wanted to start this with something that's a little bit of fun. RIP Robin Williams. I found this appropriate for a Monday morning. This will just be a few seconds if you're listening. Don't play too loud, but you'll see.
Good morning, Vietnam! Hey, this is not a test. This is rock and roll. Time to rock it from the Delta to the DMZ. Is that me or does that sound like an Elvis Presley movie? Viva da nang. Oh, viva da nang. Da nang.
All right. This is not a test. This is rock and roll. Love Robin Williams. Hey, if you're watching this and you like Robin Williams, give him some love in the comments. Jumping in, here we go. We have our FedBizOpps pulled up. If you're not familiar, it's just the website fbo.gov. It's the number one source for searching for opportunities on any sorts of government contracts. It is totally free. And so you don't want to, I won't get into the paid different sites yet, but fbo.gov is a great starting point, and this is where I spend most of my time. I highly recommend that you do the same. I'm going to pull up combined synopsis solicitations, look for some RFPs, see what we have. Everything's pulling up July 1st. Happy July 1st, everybody. It is July. It is officially, it was officially summer a week or so ago. I think we had the summer solstice, which means the days are already getting shorter. That doesn't even seem fair. But it's the truth. And as always, anybody watching, if you have any RFPs or anything that you're dealing with, you're actively bidding on, that you want me to take a look at, now is a great time to share that. I'm more than happy to help you guys in any way that I can. I'm curious about this. This says repair multiple facilities. This is for the National Guard. We haven't gotten into construction, but I think it's good for everybody to be aware of construction opportunities or how they work and how they're different than maybe if you're in something else, which a lot of you guys are in, to understand the differences. But this looks like a massive load of attachments that I don't want to wade through right now. So we'll keep looking. This is a FedBizOpps, or just a FedBid opportunity. I'm going to pull that up because I want to show you guys something on that. Take a look at it real fast. They just called this 35 - printers. It looks like they just need a straight printer buy. They got cords, power cords. This is a total small business set aside, so pretty much anybody can bid on this one. But FedBid is a reverse auction website, which means it's a race to the bottom, which usually you stay away from. but it's taking you to this Unison marketplace, which I don't know what that is. So I guess we're going to learn together. FedBid is now a Unison marketplace. So FedBid has changed. I did not know that it says Unison acquisition. So it looks like they just rebranded. This is amazing. But it's also not very straightforward. Well, sorry about that, guys, but you learned something, that there's a reverse auction website, formerly known as FedBid, now is Unison, apparently. But I was going to kind of talk about why this is not something that you would probably want to go after usually, because it is just a race to the bottom in pricing. And a lot of sellers, even like on Amazon, experience the same. Your margins just get cut, and unless it's a big buy and you can make a lot of money still, it's usually not worth your time and hassle. The times they change. I wonder when they switched over to Unison. Nothing's jumping out at me. I don't really look at these. A lot of the DLA stuff, it's just a lot of nuts and bolts. So that's really what the DLA is. Parts and pieces. Lactation support program. I'm actually going to click on this. Lactation support program. I want to know what this is. So this is for DHS, Department of Health and Human Services. This was posted today. It's due July 9th, which only gives you a week. They got the NAICS code 611710. They do not have a set aside on this as far as it goes on here. So I'm going to actually open the RFP. And I want to see if there is a set aside listed anywhere inside here. Okay, it's 100% set aside for small business. So I just wanted to make sure that this was not a full and open competition. So let's see. This is for the lactation support program. So I wanted to know what exactly is involved into this. And I will zoom in here for you guys. But pump rental, electric multiple use. So it looks like they want 420 pumps. And then a breastfeeding class, 6 different classes, 12 groups, postpartum private consultations, 55 one-on-ones. And then lactation support services on-site, phone consults, and promotional materials as well. 12, so they got that for a year. And then they have the option. So they have all those same CLINs 001 through 5, and they have those repeated 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a contract for a base plus 4 options, so 5 years total. And that's what they tell you right here, the period performance. The NAICS code is this. And I'm real curious why they have this number in here. 259,000. Just so you guys know, there's not supposed to be any pricing information in here unless it's like a travel number or something where the government has to provide the cost and they want you to include that in your bid. They'll give you a number. But right here, they've just got this total of $259,760, which I've seen more than once where they accidentally leave the IGCE, which is the internal government cost estimate. So they have an idea of the amount that they want to pay for this service, and then they fill out these sheets for themselves, and then they wipe the sheets clean, and then they send it out to FBO for the vendors to look at, you guys. to fill out, and you're not supposed to know this total number. And I don't know if that's exactly what this is, but I've seen it before, and I've called them. And Ronnie Williams, I don't know if this is an accident. If so, they're gonna have to they're gonna be in a bit of trouble with their procurement. This is actually pretty crazy. Unless I can find something else though, telling me why this number is here. That looks like the magic number to bid. Wow, that's crazy. But here they give you a little bit of background on the program, which we don't need to read right now. Requirements real quickly. Contractors shall provide hospital grade pumps, classes, discussion groups, all those CLIN items that we read. And we could pretty much assume that. For equipment, here they are giving you model numbers and such. It says there are currently 39 lactation rooms provided nationwide for employees to use at the following locations. And it looks like they've got Hyattsville, Maryland, Cincinnati, Ohio, Research Triangle Park, North Carolina. They got Morgantown, Pennsylvania, Fort Collins, Colorado, and then San Juan, Puerto Rico. And this is contracted out of Atlanta, Georgia. That's where the contracting office is. And so these locations would be where the locations that you would be supporting in this lactation support program, the contract. Just reading here. They need, and if anything, if the pumps break down or anything like that, it says they must be replaced by the contractor within 24 hours. So they don't want there to be any downtime because it's such a high need. They require a 24-hour turnaround. Here they're going to talk about the classes, the discussion groups. If you're bidding this, you want to read to these details. These reports, monthly reports, quarterly reports, annual reports, is basically just your submittals, if you will, if you're the contract holder. Here they further break down the period of performance. This contract is going to start July 30th. So let's take a look at that real fast. The period of performance for this base year is July 30th, 2019. And if you're watching this live, we all know today's July 1st. But if you're watching this on replay, it's the beginning of the month, and they just issued the RFP. And coming back, that gives you a little bit of insight as to why the response date is the 9th. They're only giving you a week to bid this thing because they need that much time to get this thing awarded and to get the new contractor settled into place and briefed so that this is a seamless transition in services. I'm seeing that there's two changes here, and that the original solicitation was in June 21st. And that's where I was going to mention this earlier. The original posted date was June 21st, which means it's not posted for the first time today. But rather, we were just reading some modifications or amendments where they made some changes, which makes me feel a whole lot better about this because they're saying here in the original that the response due date is July 5th. So that lets us know that these changes, they pushed it back, and then they made some changes. They may have gotten some questions from contractors bidding this. I mean, right here is the first amendment. Is this amendment? Yeah, notice type amendment modification. And then they have a second one here. And it says right here, they've modified the response date to July 9th. So it's important to read through and kind of get the story and the series of changes so that you're just up to date if this is something that you are bidding. And that's why I came back to look at this, because it didn't look like they were giving you much time. And it's just because we weren't looking at the original document, which is important and something that you want to make sure that you always do. I'm trying to find my Here we go. So going back to the RFP, we'll see if there's what else is left here. Government furnished material. The government's going to provide workstations and all that stuff at the base. Pretty standard. And here's the addresses. If you remember, I named those locations, but now they have the addresses here. But these look like these are all Georgia. CDC physical facility addresses. I'm going to keep scrolling to see if this makes any sense. Because if you remember at the very beginning, they gave us locations. Here's the locations. And none of these locations are Georgia. So there are currently 39 lactation rooms. I'm rereading this now. Provided nationwide for employees to use at the following locations. It says Roybal Campus, Corporate Square, Chambly Century Center, University Office Park, and then field locations. So that's not matching up exactly with these addresses. This just says the CDC, Center for Disease Control Facility addresses. I get having the one address, but I don't know why they give this. So this is, this is exactly what going through RFPs is like. It's probably just something that I'm missing because I've never seen this before and I've just started reading it. And, sometimes you can spend up to an hour going through these things and piecing them together. And then any pieces that you don't know, you just submit RFIs, requests for information, you ask questions. So I know that the contracting office is Georgia, and okay, I can reasonably say, okay, that's why they're providing some of the addresses. But I was looking for the addresses for the place of performance where you're actually, those different locations that they showed us earlier. It just doesn't make sense why they're providing us a bunch of different Georgia addresses. And it's probably just something that we don't know. Contracting administrator data. This is your CPARs. Your CPARs is basically your report card. It's how you're evaluated on the performance of your contract. You'll get a CPARs rating. Usually you get an interim in the middle of your performance, and then at the end you'll get a final. These are really important, and it's how future contracting officers will pull your CPARs report to see how you performed. And so you don't want to have a bad rating there. Special contract requirements. Pretty standard stuff here. Okay. Yep, your contract employees need to sign an NDA. So I'm going to start scrolling really quick. Don't feel like you're missing out on anything. I just have a few things that I'm looking for specifically. Being as these can be 50 to 100 pages, and this is 68 pages. We don't have time to go through every little thing. Your reps and certs, these are you originally filled out in your SAM profile, but you also fill them out. They attach them as part of the RFP. It's just another way to make all of these RFPs an additional 20 to 30 pages longer. And you don't need to. And here's the instruction to offers. So the instruction to offers, section L, is very important. This is one of the things I wanted to show you. This will basically be your little Bible for responding to this opportunity. The contracting officer wrote this with exactly in mind what they want to see in your proposal. So solicitation, number one, solicitation provisions incorporated by reference. The solicitation incorporates one or more provisions. Okay, they're just letting, this is more of an FYI. They're also letting you know that there's this FAR clause. but I'm going to skip down. They got, they have the questions deadline. They have your instructions to submit. But this is before they did the amendments, so this isn't accurately reflecting the new dates. But we're going to go back to the proposal format because that doesn't look like it changed. Proposal preparation, L.2.1. An offer is requested in conjunction with the period or the performance of work statement, rather, the PWS. Proposal must be signed by an official authorized to bind your organization. You must submit one electronic version in a Microsoft Office, Excel, or PDF via email to Ronnie Williams. And in Volume 1, what do they want? Volume 1, this information shall include a brief description of the offer's understanding of the PWS and address the subfactors below under specific instructions, which is your technical. You know what, I'm going to keep scrolling just so we have a full picture. Section M is how you're evaluated. So we know that this is going to be evaluated by your technical write-up, your past performance, and your price. That's very standard, unless it's a lowest price technically acceptable proposal. These are usually the three factors that you always look out for, and then you always include in your proposal response. Technical is how you do the work. Past performance is work that you've done in the past. And your price is your pricing in accordance with the statement of work for this contract. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Yeah, so I'll just read real quick. Your technical approach: provide a detailed and comprehensive statement of the scope and purpose of the project to demonstrate complete understanding of the intent and requirements. So they almost want you to not parrot back to them, but they want to understand that you understand what's being done and why this program is so essential and important. Here's the possible ratings that you can get. And now here's the past performance. It says you as an offeror shall provide a minimum of 3 references of current or past within the last 3 years. These references should include client work in organizations that are similar in size and complexity to the CDC lactation support services needed. Offerers shall solicit past performance survey responses from 3 current. So they have these PPQs, past performance questionnaires or surveys, which means your previous customers fill them out and then submit it to this Ronnie Williams on your behalf. So here we go. This is what I was looking. I knew I wasn't going crazy. Here is the addresses for those locations. How many did they say? I thought they said 9, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Excuse me. Here's the locations for all the addresses. So we know that's here. We can go back to it at any time we need. And here is what I was just talking about, the PPQ, the past performance questionnaire. For your past performance, did they say 1 to 3 or did they say 3? Yeah, they said a minimum of 3. They didn't say up to 3. So if you don't have 3, then you can't really bid this. You need a minimum of 3 really good ones showing, and you're probably going to want to do something, past performances from Health and Human Services or the CDC. And, the services don't have to be exactly lactation services. That doesn't exclude you, but it should be close. And to find close, I mean, I don't know. Anything with, birthing or pregnancy or that similar type of niche field would probably be very good. Any hospital or medical services would probably be pretty decent. Anything outside of that, though, if you don't have this exact past performance, might be a bit of a stretch. I'm guessing that this is a follow-on contract because it is a base plus 4. So that means that this contract was likely procured previously, which means the incumbent who is the contractor who was previously performing on this, is probably going to try to win this again. And who has better past performance than the incumbent contractor themselves? If that's who you're going up against, and you're bringing shoddy past performance, you might want to save your time and not bid this. But that's just a guess. I don't know. This could be a new requirement. I haven't seen that jump out to me yet, and I haven't found anything that tells me otherwise. But I'm part of my validation is that the response time is not a lot. Usually, contracting officers would want to give themselves 60 to 90 days to get this thing on the books. It's a very short amount of time. So they must have a certain level of confidence, because they don't want to have a gap in the end service. They don't want to just have nobody providing these services because they didn't get the new contract on in time. So that's where I'm coming from. And you can kind of read into this a little bit as the incumbent contractor. Well, rather, there may be an incumbent contractor that this may be an existing service already. But when it's me, I don't like leaving anything up to the guessing or chance. I would just, well, at this point, you can't really pick up the phone, but during the RFP, the RFQ process, all questions have to be submitted in writing. But I would be reaching out to Ronnie to see if this is, a follow-on contract, or, if this contract is a new service or something that is being recompeted. And that will give you a lot of that good information. So it looks like we are scrolling to the end of the document here. We did a quick little run through with that. The section L and the section M, very important. You need to read this 5 times, reread this 5 times each. Make sure that you don't miss anything. You want to know exactly what they want in the proposal. And the good thing is, so many people, you guys watching, anybody who's new also, they're super intimidated by these proposal responses. They don't know what to put into the proposal. They want people to just write them for them. It doesn't have to be rocket science. If you can read, and you can read through this with an accurate and mindful eye, and then just write to what they want, that should be good enough. This is not English class, okay? I see contracting officers put together garbage sometime in terms of spelling errors, and sentences just are run-on sentences. And a lot of times they don't even make sense. Sometimes they leave stuff in there from old proposals that don't even apply. And it's just kind of this melting pot of garbage, some of these that I've seen. The people that are writing these, they're people too. And all they're doing is copy and paste. And then they're working with, an SME or a program manager who's writing a technical part to put in the RFP, because that guy's or gal is the only one who actually knows what the hell is going on here anyways. The contracting officer is really just the middleman. They're just the one who's trying to make the deal. They're the deal maker. They don't know. Any questions you ask them, they just have to, turn around and ask somebody else. So don't be too intimidated by them and, these RFPs. What you should be intimidated about is if you don't have the past performance, or if you don't fully understand this and you're going to try to price it, you're putting yourself at a major risk, because you could win and then you may have not bid the thing correctly, but now you still have to perform and you might have to take a loss. And that's a big, big problem. I would be much more concerned with something like that. If you don't have the past performance, then just close it out. Don't even waste your time looking at something like this, like we did the last 15 minutes. If it doesn't, apply to you, don't bid it. However, that doesn't mean you can't learn something from this. And that's why I chose this one, because it's probably something that applies to nobody. So I wanted to talk about it to show you how much it applies to to basically anybody who's watching this. You know, if you're especially if you're in services, if you're construction, it can still apply, not as much, but everybody else, you know, it's the same thing. It's reading the section L, the section M that we went through, reading through the requirements, seeing what they want in their proposal, looking at the pricing breakdowns, what they want, finding the locations that it's being performed at, trying to piece together things that don't make sense, which is what we did a couple of different times, but we figured it out as we went through it. That is a skill that you build and flex like a muscle over time. And it gives you a competitive advantage as a bidder because it allows you to find opportunities that are right for you to bid. It allows you to hone in on your pricing skills and your accuracy in pricing so that you're not only, you know, bidding the right thing, which is bare bones, but if there's any way that you can get your costs down because you understand this better than somebody else, that becomes your competitive advantage, okay? So we're going to move on. We're going to move on from the lactation support program. Guys, just do a quick public service announcement as well. You know, if you're watching this, I've been doing these live videos for a little bit now. I've switched from the Facebook Live to the YouTube Live because the playback quality is awesome. It looks just like it's live. The Facebook group playback is not so good, but if you want to see the live videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'm only saying that because I don't want you to miss them. It's a lot tougher to, you know, ask questions when you're watching this on a replay. But if you get the little notification on your phone that GovKid, you know, Derek James is going live, then you can hop on. If you have any questions in your business or you're thinking about getting in it, just hop onto one of these live videos and put the question in the comments of the video. And, you know, I've got my phone with me right here. I'm looking at it. And if you have something that pops up, I'll take a second to answer it. Okay. But if you don't subscribe, you know, you see I've got 30 subs right now. I'm going to date myself for all future videos. But I got a lot more people that, you know, are on the email list or that are in the group. Make sure you subscribe so that you can take advantage of these live videos. It's probably one of the best things that I can do for you guys. So the second thing I said I was going to do, and today is going to be looking at capability statements. So we're gonna shift gears from FBO. We can always go back if anybody wants to. We're going to shift gears and look at some capability statements. So I did a little bit of homework ahead of time, and I pulled up a few capability statements that I think are decent. And I think that they would be a good example to show you guys of what you should have in a capability statement. So I'm going to open up the first thing here. If you don't know what a capability statement is, a capability statement is it's your one pager. It's your elevator pitch, you know, on a sheet of paper. I've mentioned in previous videos, this is what you will send. This right here, you will send this in response to these sources sought. These sources sought are market research. They only require a little bit of response. It's not like a full-blown proposal. So this here, this capability statement, let me see if it's not letting me zoom in. This CAPE statement is an example of one, and we'll jump through it because you might be asking, where can I get this? Well, you have to make it. You know, I'm probably going to make some template ones and put them up on my website for download in the future. Aside from, you know, rendering a service from somebody to make one, you kind of have to make it yourself. And you can just go on Google. I'll show you how I found these. You just go to Google and you just go to capability statement. That I love going to Google Images, and you look at all these, right? So if you're halfway decent with Microsoft Word or, you know, any other program, I usually just use Word. You can create one of these yourself, or if you don't want to spend the time, just, you know, pay somebody $50 or $100 or something. probably $20 or $30 if you can get away with it, and have them make you a template, and then you can just write in what you want. And so that's what I'll jump into right here. So the first section of your capability statement is kind of like this overview. So they have GP&M Advisory Services, a full service B2G and B2B marketing and procurement firm. Our goal for every client is to successfully grow their business by helping them market and sell to the government. So these guys are kind of like, a government contracting consultant. So in a nutshell, you know exactly what it is they do. And I don't know how much the government actually buys these guys' services, because they're kind of a middleman. But the example still works good enough. So you just want to put usually just a few sentences. You don't have to write as much as they've written, like a whole paragraph. You can just put a few sentences in an overview section. Okay. Next, core competencies. They have SAM, DSBS, and acquisitions management support. So you just pick a few different areas that you focus on. And you know what? I'm actually not going to use this as an example anymore. I thought they had NAICS codes down here, but they have class R and class D codes. So I'll switch over to this one, which is good because I can show you. Here's the core competencies, kind of what I was just talking about. Ideal System Solutions is your partner in technology, providing government, education, healthcare, and enterprise commercial clients with best-in-class technology products, enterprise, and managed solutions. So they have their little boilerplate, just like the last one did, right? But now over here, here are the NAICS codes that I was talking about. The North American Industry Classification Codes. And they have quite a bit. I'd recommend only having 5 to 10. Looks like they might have something closer to 20 here. But you want to have your NAICS code. If you don't know what a NAICS code is, you can go to SBA NAICS. NAICS codes are, this will pull up. Every job that the government buys, they put a little code attached to it called the NAICS code. And using Control F, say you're a farmer, I'll search farming, and they've got goat farming, sheep farming. So whatever it is you do, you can quickly go to this, go into Google like I did, and pull this up, and you can search and you can find your NAICS code. So whatever NAICS codes you have, and if you've already set up your SAM, that will have required you to put in some NAICS codes. If you haven't, this is how you can do it. You find the NAICS codes that are appropriate for your business. And here, this Ideal System Solutions, they have selected their NAICS codes. This is the work that they go after. These are the services that they provide to the government and that the government can buy from them. So that's what this NAICS code section is. The services section is basically putting the NAICS codes into words. So they straight up say IT consulting, project management, staff augmentation, outsourced IT. So just bullet point whatever it is, the services that you do. It looks like they've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got 9 here. That's fine. If it's less, that's fine too. You don't have to try to fill the page. Sometimes less is more with capability statements. Sometimes only doing a few things often shows contracting that you're a master of what you do instead of being spread too thin. They really don't like that. When they see your NAICS codes or they see your Dynamic Small Business Search profile or your SAM profile, and they see that you have a lot of NAICS codes, they think that you chase everything and that you're just kind of like a fly-by-night company and you're not serious, and it scares them away, and they don't want to do business with you. I've seen it many times. This expertise section, it's okay. I mean, it's not necessary. It's just letting them know that they prime on contracts, that they've done business with the government, but also with the education sector and the commercial industry world as well. Client sample, I would call that past performance. And past performance is just anybody you've done, any agency, any company that you've done work for in the past. So here they have the DoD, DOE, they have universities, they have the VA, they have some of the big boys like Lockheed and BAE that they were probably a subcontractor to. So that's pretty fantastic past performance. The only thing that's missing is the type of work. So generally, I would like to see the agency maybe followed by a contract number and then a few sentences of the work performed. It gives a much better picture rather than just saying the agency. But I don't. If you have heartburn hearing that, then you can just keep it this way, because I know some people are afraid to put their past performance out there. I don't exactly understand it, and I quite frankly don't agree with it. All the information is public information. If you're afraid of anybody seeing your information, then you live in the wrong country. WikiLeaks and all this other stuff, guys, like it's already done. It's already done. There's nothing you can do about it. So it's only going to help you and help your audience, help whoever's reading your capability statement to understand what it is that you do, to give them the most information succinctly on a one pager. If you're going to withhold information, it's just going to leave them with questions and maybe lack of confidence. So this is something I'd like to see them do better. Down here, they have their contact information. Definitely find somewhere to put your primary point of contact name and email and your title for your company, and also include your company website, which I do highly recommend that you have one, but it does not have to be super fancy or pretty. As long as you have something, that should be good enough. They include their DUNS and cage code. The DUNS is this D and B, it's Dun and Bradstreet, which is part of your registration and setup process. You need to get your DUNS code and your cage code. You get your DUNS code from Dun & Bradstreet. You get your cage code through registering your small business entity through sam.gov. It'll wire you through the DLA, and then within a couple of weeks, they'll send you a cage code and you'll be up and running. It's not too bad. You must have your DUNS and your cage code, however, on your capability statement. They are your identifiers. They are how contracting officers will look your company up, okay? And then the other thing that I was saving kind of for the last here is your, they call it small business designations. These are your socioeconomic set-asides. Extremely important. If you have any of them, you want to list them. If you come over to FBO, you see set-aside code right here. Here they are. You have your 8A, woman-owned small business, hub zone, economically disadvantaged. If you are Indian, but they have veteran and service disabled. These are all your possible set-asides. So if you have any of these, let me go back to where I was. If you have any of those, you would list them in this socioeconomic status example here. So if you're 8A woman-owned, hub zone, you put it here. I mean, this guy's list is pretty long, and some of these are more helpful than others. But these guys, they're kind of just, they're pounding their chests, they're selling themselves. But nevertheless, it's extremely important if you have those to put those in this section here. It looks like they have a back page to what this would be. I really wouldn't recommend having 2-page capability statements where you have to staple them together. Don't do that. If you have to do it, just put it on the back. So when you print it, even though it's 2 pages, it'll print on the front and back though. So it's still 1 page. But it's okay. If you want to do it and you've got some good stuff to put on it, then go ahead, that's fine. But don't just do it so that you think it looks better. The 1 page is fine. Don't worry about it. 1 page is good. It's standard. Not everybody likes double-sided. It's just more to read through. Only thing I would say is if you're going into a meeting or something, it's good to have a little bit more for them to read. If you're doing a capability statement, or capability briefing rather. It's what it's called when you meet with a contracting officer, or more likely a small business representative of your agency, somebody from the OSDBU. And the OSDBU, I should mention, is the Office of Small Business Disadvantaged Business Utilization. It's basically just there to help small business to understand and learn the agency, to learn what type of contracts are available to be awarded by that agency, and you meet with that person. It's his or her job to meet and talk with you about your company and about the agency for about an hour. So if you wanted to bring some additional materials to go over in that meeting, that would be great, because it's always good to have stuff to read and to refer to have a more robust conversation in that meeting. But if you're going to a conference or you're submitting responses to sources sought or what have you, the one pager, just stick with that, okay? Oh, another thing, contract vehicles as well. If you are on any GSA schedules or any other type of schedules that would allow them to use or procure the service under, just include that in there. If you've went through the time and money to get on a GSA schedule, you want to market it in every way possible. If you don't have it, don't even worry about it. Don't go running out trying to get on a schedule. I've never won contracts on the schedule, and I never even tried. And I had the opportunity to, but I'm just saying everything I won was off of FedBizOpps. It's off of FBO. It was plain and simple. So I don't want anybody to think that you're missing out on opportunities, although you may be, but your bread and butter is available to you for free right here on FedBizOpps. So don't go running out trying to get a GSA schedule because you saw somebody put it on their capability statement and you're not able to. Okay, it's fine. I think I have one more. Okay, I have one more CAPE statement pulled up here, and real quickly we'll just go through it. So we have KBS. Looks like they're a veteran-owned small business. They've got the nice CVE VOSB logo here. You can always include these logos. They look really nice. Right up top, love it. Cage and Duns. That's how I like to see it. I don't like to see it at the bottom. Company snapshot, the government POC, who they can reach out to essentially. They make it very easy, nice and laid out. You can call Charles Robertson. There's his phone number. You can see that they're in Daytona Beach, Florida. I don't see the website here. Do they have a website? Yeah, they put it here instead, and that's cool too. It's nice, big and bold here. This is fine. But here again, here is their little synopsis. Looks like they wrote more like a paragraph, which is cool. It looks good. If you can make it look good, then go for it. Otherwise, a couple sentences is just fine. But they say right off the bat, their socioeconomic set aside, that they're a veteran-owned small business, and they manufacture composite glass fiber reinforced polymers and BFRP concrete reinforcement fibers, bars, and threaded rods known as G-bar, G-bolt, G-mat, and G-cage, all trademarked. The super abundance of expansive corrosion issues with existing rebar options drive the need for non-corrosive, cost-effective, and sustainable alternatives to both primary and secondary concrete reinforcement. So if you know anything about concrete, rebar is the stuff that they put down before they lay the concrete so that it doesn't crack and fall apart, and that it all kind of just meshes together. It's just, it's a must when you're pouring concrete, as far as I know. And it looks like they have this really cool solution, which I don't know if it's theirs or if it's just something that they sell. So this is a great capability statement because it's so specific. This would be a capability statement that would be very specific and only apply to very certain opportunities. Most people don't give a crap about this. They won't know what this is. They don't want to know what it is in terms of contracting officers. But they've gotten very clear on who their audience is, their target market, and they've gotten very clear so that the person reading this is going to know what this is, and they're probably going to appreciate it and be a little excited about it, at least create some interest, which is fantastic. And in my opinion, it's done a lot more than this kind of generic boilerplate capability statement. Project management, great. What does that mean? They didn't give me anything about their past performance. Like, I don't, I just know generally what they do, but I also generally know 100 other companies that do exactly the same thing. I don't know if there's 100 other companies that do exactly this same thing, and I highly doubt it. And if I'm a contracting officer, I probably don't have any other capability statements like this on my desk, especially if I'm in charge of doing construction projects. Going forward, I see that they've got their NAICS codes here, and they've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 NAICS codes with these two, looks like they're SIC codes as well. But these are very specific. So this is also great. It's not like they're saying construction, then they've got like staffing, and they got VTC. It's just, that would just be so confusing as a contracting officer trying to actually figure out what that company does if they've got NAICS codes that are so different like that. So if you're a company that does that and you're sending this off, make it geared towards whoever you're sending it to. Again, know your market. You can have a separate capability statement for your other services that you want to be clear on what those are specifically as well. Just don't put them all on one capability statement and think that they're going to be like, oh, wow, like these guys can do everything. It's going to be like, oh, wow, what the hell do these guys do is more like it, okay? So what I like about these NAICS codes, even though there's probably more than I would like to see, like I said, 5 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, they've got 14 codes here. So it's a little bit long, but they are so very, very specific. It basically takes away any of my concerns. What I'm not, okay, so they just have the one past performance here. They're a veteran-owned company with 20 years experience with the Army, with SAMI, and the Engineer Corps. And then they kind of just bullet stuff here. Comprehensive knowledge of construction industry and scheduling process, okay. Successful experience with code compliance. Certified senior construction ops manager, 20 years. Management of skilled people and subcontractors, operations control and information dissemination. Top secret clearance obtainable. One thing you don't want to put your clearance, if you have a secret or top secret, you cannot advertise that because it makes you a risk. If you know anything about clearance, you can't advertise that. So I would take that off, even though it just says obtainable. That should be saved for either a locked email or a private phone conversation or in-person conversation. You don't want the whole world to know that because it makes you a target for anybody who's looking for somebody who has a level of clearance where, they can access things through you, and it's kind of a no-no. And you would be marked down if your FSS person saw this. But that's just a little bit of a tangent. Budgeting and corporate finance restraints. Quality control. This is all boilerplate stuff. I mean, it's okay. I don't love the bullets that they have here. I like everything else. Aside from these bullets, if they're just going to do one past performance section here, I would just like to read about at least one project that they did and learn like what it was that they did on the project and maybe what the magnitude was. Like, what was the size? Did these guys only do $20,000 jobs? Because I've got, a $500,000 job, but I don't know if they're big enough or if they can do it because I don't know what their past performance is here, right? I see manager singular. Is this just like a 1 or 2 man operation who, where the owner is also the manager? Like, I don't know how big these guys are or, so that's the only thing I would say is missing from this, that if you're watching, you could take advantage of to not make that mistake on yours. Include a little bit of a write-up on one or a couple of jobs. Quite frankly, I like to see 3. Every time I did a capability statement, I've seen 3. And the jobs are different. I usually do like a small and a couple medium jobs so that they know that I have the ability to do either. But it's not terrible. Like I said, I really love this kind of middle section. And the next codes are great, and this section up here is great. So the only thing I'd really ask them to clean up is the past performance down here. I don't think I had any others pulled. We looked at that one. We looked at that one. And this one is by far my favorite of the 3 that we looked at. We have got a few minutes left here, guys. If you did have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. If you are watching live or on replay, please subscribe to the channel. That way you can be notified when I do go live next. And I'm also just shamelessly promoting my channel. I want to be able to reach and help as many people as possible. And one of the ways I can do that is by growing my YouTube channel, which I'm actively doing. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to end a few minutes early today. It looks like it's 11:56, so we almost went for the full hour. Thanks for watching. I hope this was super helpful. In today's video, we looked at the Lactation Support Services Program on FedBizOpps. We learned about that there's amendments and modifications that you need to look at. We learned how to look at the section L and M a little bit of what's required in your proposal write-up and how you're going to be evaluated. We learned how to piece together some pieces of information that's kind of missing to create a story. And, we were able to figure it out at the end. But then also, as we just went through, we got to look through some different capability statements and touch on, really what you should have and some examples of some decent ones. And if you're watching this on replay, you can just go on Google and search capability statements when you're ready to do your own, or if you currently have yours and you want to critique yours. What I've always done is I go through hundreds of these things and I try and find the best of the best. And then I try to take from each what the best is and incorporate it all into mine in a way that makes sense. That's ultimately what I would highly recommend that you do when you're creating your capability statement or you're having somebody else create one. This is an example of one that I talked about in one of my previous videos that are now part of my government contracting course that I highly recommend if you're looking to get into government contracts. I've created a 27 video course that you can check out. I've got the link in the description of this video. In that video, I touch on this capability statement because you look at how much it just jumps out with you. A lot of it is the colors, which they didn't overdo it on the colors. I wouldn't go much more than this with the colors though, but they've got some nice picture of their product, their hot sauce. Believe it or not, the government buys hot sauce and other food things. But you see right here, they've got 3 past performances, which is fantastic. It looks like they've even got a point of contact on there. They've got 5 NAICS codes, exactly what I recommend. Right here, they've got their point of contact. It jumps right out to you. Up here, just 2 to 3, it looks like just 2 sentences, short and sweet, of what their overview is, and they got their email right here. It all looks really, really nice. It's a lot of the same information, but it's just done slightly different in an optimized way, in my opinion. And this is one that I pulled, and they got their cage and their DUNS and their POC and their company information website and all that down here as well. I really, really love it. This is one that probably the best one that, one of the best ones that I would recommend. And like I said, I talk about piece by piece in my government contracts course. If you're at all interested, the link for that is in the description of this video. But yeah, awesome. I'm glad I found this before we signed off. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, please consider subscribing if that's something you'd like to do. If you liked this video and you want to see future lives, and I will see you next time. Do I still have that Robin Williams clip? I was going to play the Robin Williams Good Morning Vietnam again, but maybe next time. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you next time.